Emmanuel Macron has arrived in Berlin for the first state visit by a French president in 24 years. Macron was welcomed by the German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, at his official residence, Bellevue Palace. Franco-German relations have been strained in recent years, especially as Europe faces challenges like the war in Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz remains split with his French counterpart on energy and government spending, along with relations to China, where Macron has criticised Germany over its dependence on the regime. Let's bring in DW's Michaela Küfner. She's at Bellevue Palace in Berlin, where President Macron has been meeting with his German counterpart, Frank-Walter Steinmeier. This state visit is also about projecting European unity at a time where France and Germany increasingly find themselves at odds.
They do find themselves at odds, and that's the interesting thing between the German and the French relationship. No matter how bad it gets, they share common aims. You're just hearing motorcycles there of the police from that motorcade of Emmanuel Macron, who is behind me at Bellevue Palace together with the German president. Now, both want to help Ukraine, both Germany and France. And the French president insisted that he wouldn't rule out troops on the ground. That's something the German government insists is an absolute no-go, together with the Americans. So that's just one illustration, of which there are very many indeed, ranging from energy to the EU economic policies of import and export, particularly on China, where both have common aims of having a more integrated energy market, of both having intense trade with China, but to the benefit of the EU and becoming less dependent. But they have different ways, different routes they want to take to get to that aim, and that creates political tension. Having said that, it's a picture-perfect day behind me, and that's what today is all about. The German president has largely a ceremonial role. This is all about projecting unity and producing those pictures of unity.
What about the different approaches that Scholz and Macron have when it comes to tackling Russia's war in Ukraine?
Well, both really want to help Ukraine, but there has been criticism, not just from the German side, that while France keeps pledging that, it didn't come up with the goods. It's pretty much down the bottom of the list when it comes to financial and military assistance. That's been slightly ramped up. Having said that, the French are sending medium-range missiles. The Germans, particularly German Chancellor Olaf Scholz personally, is ruling out sending that Taurus system that Ukraine so much wants, while being the second largest supporter of Ukraine behind the United States. So yes, it's complicated, and both see the onus on the other side to really pull their weight. Ukraine is in desperate need, particularly of air defense, and let me say it with the words of Mette Frederiksen, the Danish Prime Minister, who just a few days ago said Ukraine needs 5 to 6 air defense systems. They are in Europe, and they need to be sent right now. That is slightly veiled criticism of France as well.
And Michaela, who's right and wrong when it comes to ties to China?
There is a recognition that China is and remains a very important trading partner, but particularly on the issue of tariffs, Germany and France want to take very different routes. The United States have just slapped a 100% tariff on electronic vehicles. The French hopes that the EU decision will go along those lines, particularly when it comes to electronic vehicles, and the Germans are adamantly against it, with Olaf Scholz having gone on the record of reminding everybody that a lot of those parts in those very Chinese vehicles are German. So that highlights who would be to gain. The Germans would likely lose, particularly the vital auto industry. It wouldn't really harm the French, and the Americans want the Europeans to show a tougher line. That's against China. That's the political triangle they will be debating when both the French and German cabinets sit down together for political talks on Tuesday.
Sound like tough talks. Michaela Küfner with the analysis there, live from Bellevue Palace.